So when you were looking at her in that state, and you say you seen yourself, what was you seeing?
Me at my end. Literally, where I was going to be if I did not stop. If I didn't do something and I didn't do something now, I was going to be right there. And what if there wasn't somebody there to save me?
That's amazing.
And it wasn't. It was going to...
Right.
I say I used to die, but
when you seen
I was terrified.
You didn't want to die.
No.
You realized in that moment you didn't want to die.
No.
Welcome to Me to We Productions, and the purpose of this production is to share with you the recovery stories of others so that you may be able to build your own. And tonight we have Miss Amber Barnes here with us. Amber has been clean for 3 years. And before we get started, if you wish to follow Recover Out Loud, make sure you go to our website at recoveroutloudinc.com. So Amber, what makes you want to be out loud?
Because I think we need to break the stigma. We got to break the stigma of silence. It's not going to help anybody. What does it help? That little room of people that you're in. When you're out loud, it's going to help millions. It could help people all around the world, not just that one little room of people, you know?
What do you think the stigma is?
That there's shame behind being an addict. Or that there's something to be shameful about, or there, you need that people look down on people that have been, addicted to drugs, or, that they can't come out of it, that there's no coming out of it, that they're always going to go back. There's so many stigmas. There's not just one. There's a million different stigmas. So being out loud, I think, is going to break those stigmas.
All right. So you got to spend a lot of years in addiction.
Yes.
How would you define addiction?
Awful. It feels like your life is in a living hell. You're just in turmoil all the time. You never know what's going to happen next. Negative.
Did you ever think
negative
addiction would happen to you?
That's like a I don't know question, because there was a lot of addiction in my family.
Okay.
And my abuse started so young, which we'll get into, but it started so young that, I don't know.
I think that's interesting. So you say you abuse started young.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say then you were, because I know, was you born an addict, or was you kind of born into addiction?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay, explain.
Because addiction is riddled throughout my family tree. All the way down. So, and then I was born into this awful environment, which kind of molded me into addiction.
Environment. Very, very good point here. Environment breeds addiction.
Yes.
So let's kind of go into your environment. Back then.
Yes, absolutely. So starting at a very young age, at 4 years old, my mom married a man. Her and my dad got divorced before marrying this man, and he was very abusive, physically abusive toward my mother, my sister, and myself. We witnessed very violent physical abuse on my mother every single day. She would have to go to the hospital a lot.
And this is from your biological father?
No, this is a stepfather.
This is a stepfather.
Mm-hmm. Yes. He was my first stepfather. So right after my mom and my actual dad got divorced, I don't know how long after, I was really young, she married this man. I don't want to say his name, but
sure.
So we witnessed abuse on her every single day, so many times that, and they would tell us to go outside. When it was happening, Mom would say, go outside. She didn't want us to see it, but we would see it through the windows or through the doors, or we would see what would happen before, we were told to go outside or to go get help. Her term, go outside, meant go get help,
Mm-hmm.
So we would go across the street to...
So you have to have like a code.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yep. So we would go across the street to this laundromat and we would call 911, please. My mom is, being beat by my stepfather. It got to the point where the lady would no longer call anymore because it happened so many times. She said, I'm sorry, but you guys are going to have to find some help somewhere else. Really sad moment. So that was the abuse on my mom. The abuse on me and my sisters, we were really young, 4, 5 years old, very small children, I remember a couple of times, my brain's blocked a lot of it out, and I know it's for reasons,
Sure.
It's trying to keep my mind healthy because it doesn't want to remember. So I can remember one time I was grounded from riding my bicycle. So my sister trailed me on her bicycle. This was something this small. I can remember getting caught and being beaten with a belt 14 times at 4 years old. 14 times while my mother had to stand and watch. Which, kind of started building up the resentment towards
Sure.
my mother and everything. Why didn't she stop it?
Mm-hmm.
I remember... Another time that I can remember is me and my sister were in his truck while he was inside of some kind of building, like insurance or something. He went in some building and left us in the car. And we were just playing around, frolicking in the car, being kids. And when he came out, he was angry with us because we didn't sit still the entire time he was inside. So we got home that day, and all I can remember is sitting in that corner of our bedroom, of the bunk beds, me and my sister, holding each other because we knew what was going to happen. We knew
Mm-hmm.
what was going to happen. All I can remember is him charging through the door at us, and then that's it. My mom has told me that a lady from 2 apartments down called her at work and said, I hear your children screaming. 2 apartments down. I hear your children screaming.
But you don't really
think
remember
need to go
the
home."
details of this.
I have no idea what happened.
So we just know it was bad.
It was bad. It was very bad.
So when I think about a normal 4 or 5-year-old little girl, I don't picture the things that you're telling me.
Yeah.
I picture smiles. I picture birthdays and family and traveling. This is the realm of normality. Your environment, however, was tragedy and chaos
Yes.
and abuse.
Absolutely.
And this had to have played a huge part in your journey of becoming an addict or addicted.
Yes.
You said resentment started to build up towards your mother, and you have these resentments coming at 4 years old.
Yeah.
4 years old, you're starting to have resentments. You're not supposed to have resentments at 4 years
No.
old. So moving forward, so what happened out of this situation? Did your mom stay with this man? Did you finally get out of it?
Right. So, she was with him for 2 or 3 years, and then she finally got out of it.
For that 2 or 3 years, this abuse continued.
Almost
This
every
is
single day.
consistent. Okay.
Absolutely, yep. So she finally got out of it. She got, beaten so bad she ended up on some lady that a couple blocks away, she didn't know his porch, just bloody from head to toe, unconscious. And that was it for her. She was done. We went to a battered women's shelter, and they helped us get back on our feet. I don't remember a whole lot from that time, but I do remember being happy for the first time.
Really?
And I didn't know that feeling. Like, I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
Because I was so young, feeling like, oh my goodness, we can do this and there's no consequences. Like, this isn't bad. This normal behavior isn't wrong.
That had to feel freeing.
It was, yeah. And it built me and my sister. We had a very strong bond, like really strong bond, because we were the ones that were there for each other during all of this. So we were happy for a while. So I got to feel happiness and joy and just normal childhood for a while. My mom stayed on her own, single mother raising us 2 girls, for a while. There was a little bit of partying going on around us that we saw, but nothing, too awful crazy. It was just parties, so there was addiction going on around us. She then married a second man. I'm 5th grade. So how old would I be in 5th grade? Like 9,
8
10.
or 9 years old, yeah.
She remarried again, a man that she had met at work. He was amazing at first. Gave us the life that we like this is what we thought life should be like. We had everything we could want. We didn't have to want for anything. We had food always. We would go do things as family. I got to a point where I wanted to ask if I could call him Dad.
Okay.
I don't remember what age I was. It was probably 6th grade. But it changed. That story, that happiness story changed real quick.
And what made it change?
The abuse. So he started sexually abusing me when I hit maturity.
So what was your self-image before this abuse compared to after this abuse?
So before, I was my own person. I was Amber. I was me. I was learning everything I liked and what I wanted to be. And then once that abuse started, that was gone. There was no more Amber.
So I feel like, listening to you, the abuse that happened at 4 kind of was, gone, kind of under the rug a little bit because you had found this new happiness.
Yes.
To the point you started about calling this guy Dad.
Yes.
And then sexual abuse.
Yeah.
So what was the image after that?
It was total darkness, total hell. It was a living nightmare. Because it disappointed me so much. This man, I genuinely loved this man as a father.
So crushing.
Yeah, it was very crushing. Now I believe that all of that, happiness and doing all these great things and gaining all this trust from me and my sister was a grooming period. It was all built up to this.
And you can see that looking back today.
Yes.
That was actually grooming.
Absolutely.
To gain your trust.
Yes.
And then to break it and tear you down.
Yes, because he had a history with it and we didn't know. He had a history with this before. So the abuse would happen every day of my, teenage years.
Did you try to act like it wasn't?
Oh, I absolutely hid that it was not happening. I absolutely tried to play that life was normal and everything was great. And, that was because of, I wanted to portray a certain image because I finally got to feel, I can look at it now, I finally got to feel that happiness, that
you didn't
Amber.
Want to let it go.
I didn't want to let it go, yes. So I wanted to portray that image of this is me. And then I have this other, terrible side of me that feels so guilty and so shameful. And so, when you're going through that kind of abuse at that age, you feel like it's your fault. Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think it was your fault?
I don't know. I don't know. Because
maybe this something that kind of naturally happens? Because that's pretty common.
Yeah.
We blame ourselves.
You feel like it's your fault. You feel like you're doing something wrong. You feel like because you allowed it to happen and you didn't stop it from happening, that it's your fault. But what can a 14, 15-year-old, 90-something pound girl do to a huge 6 foot, 400-pound man?
Absolutely nothing.
And there were many threats, if you tell anybody, your life is gone. If you say a word, I will destroy your life. You and your mother, your sister, you will have nothing, so I'm not going to tell nobody about this.
Did this lead to depressions and?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was very depressed. I tried to hide it. I involved myself in everything I could at school, I tried to build this other image up. I was honor society cheerleader, varsity cheerleader, show choir, track, I was this other person.
Mm-hmm.
And, I started using drugs around that same time.
Around that time right there?
Around that same
Why
time.
do you think the drugs came into play?
Because I wanted to hide those feelings. I wanted to hide that.
Did you know that when you used for the first time that that's what you were trying to do?
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
I was just peers, had a party, trying to have fun, everybody saying, "Oh, well, no, try it. It's gonna be great."
And when you say it, what was it?
My first one was alcohol.
Okay.
That was the truth or dare game, Drink 6 shots of alcohol. Got real sick because that's a lot. The second one was marijuana. And the marijuana continued, like, daily almost after that.
When you started drinking alcohol and smoking weed, did you like the relief? Did you feel at that point it was relieving this other side of you?
Yes.
Because I find this interesting. So what I'm finding interesting here is I see this dual, I would call it almost a dual diagnosis going on.
Yeah.
You are definitely split.
Yes.
But I see you fighting for this good girl, this what you had when you were 8 years old, and you're trying hard to hang on to that. Mm-hmm. But this over here is just becoming too much. Mm-hmm. And I think when you go into the alcohol and the weed and the relief here, probably felt really good.
It did.
How did you get into the harder drugs? And do you feel like those two were gateways at all?
Yeah, because I think if I probably wouldn't have ever tried them, I would have never felt that relief. You know what I mean? I would have found it in something else, I'm sure.
Why do you think everybody starts there? I can't say everybody, but the most.
Most people do because that's usually what's readily available, at that age,
Mm-hmm.
Weed's there, alcohol's in every parent's liquor cabinet, Yeah, I think that's... Weed was not my gateway drug. Alcohol was my gateway drug.
Alcohol was.
Absolutely. Yep. So, that's another stigma that we got to get rid of.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is, and weed's definitely about to come on the scene here. So
yeah.
So with the depression, anxiety, things like that, did you end up going to the doctor for this stuff?
Yeah, I saw a therapist.
Okay.
I did. My mom sent me to therapy because she noticed depression. She did. I was very, I would act out. I was very emotional, very, showed a lot of anger towards my mom at that time.
Did it help?
No.
No.
I didn't tell the therapist why. I went to see a therapist for, I think, 5 years, and I never once told the therapist what was really going on.
Okay.
Never once.
So you weren't honest?
No.
Gotcha. Not one time.
I told the therapist everything but, this is happening at home. This sexual abuse is happening at home. It was, that's crazy. Looking back on it.
It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah.
So what was your first harder drug?
Opiates.
Opiates?
Yeah.
And what was that?
Hydros, Vicodin. Yeah.
And how'd you get those?
I was prescribed to them by a doctor at 15 years old.
For what?
For endometriosis.
Okay.
So I have endometriosis, and I was missing school. Like every single month I would miss school. I was honor society. Okay. Couldn't miss school, I didn't want to miss school.
This is that image you're holding up.
Yes. Yeah. So somehow, either myself and my mother, or the doctor made the decision that that's what was going to be the right choice, was to put me on, Vicodin to take during my, my cycle every month, so I wouldn't have to miss school.
Now, I think this is interesting, too, because I know endometriosis is a painful thing for a woman to have. It does carry pain.
Yes.
And often they prescribe Vicodin.
Yes.
So I can see why the doctor prescribed you that. However, looking back now in your seat, how do you feel about getting prescribed that at 15 years old?
I think there could have been other methods. There could have been other choices. There could have been... It was literally the second thing we tried.
Okay.
There could have been so many more things we could have tried, you know. I believe so.
Do you have any blame on the doctors for getting you on the opiate path?
No, absolutely not. Because they didn't know. They didn't know what they were going to that I was going to go where I was going to go with it. You know.
Right.
They were just trying to help me. You know, they were just trying to help.
So when did you start noticing or believing that this was getting out of control and that maybe you were losing some power over this?
Okay, so I would take the Vicodin when I was supposed to, but then I started noticing that, it took away everything else. It was literally like a warm hug. Like a warm blanket would come over me.
I always explained it like the sun rising in my soul.
Yeah,
about the
isn't
same
that crazy?
thing. Yeah,
yes.
It really is. Yes.
So it literally took away everything else, and I would not think about what was going on at home. When I was at school, I would do my schoolwork. I would do this. I would do that. I was a productive person. I was, the Amber that I wanted to be, the Amber that I wanted to portray.
Did you build a tolerance?
Yeah, I did quickly.
Quickly?
Yeah.
So what was you using at first, and then?
So I would use my opiates that I was prescribed for me from the doctor, and then I would also steal from my mother.
Okay.
I would sneak from her. I don't even know if she knows if I did that to this day. So
right.
She's gonna find out.
She's gonna watch
it's
this to see that. Yeah.
Because our relationship is at a great point right now where we can talk about those things. I would sneak hers. I would take hers. When I wouldn't have mine, I would take hers.
So when did it go from hydros to other things?
Oh, like very, very quickly.
It was fast?
It was
quick
fast.
for you?
Yeah, it was as soon as I noticed that warm hug, Oh, what else can give me this warm hug?
Okay.
What else can give me this feeling of taking it away?
So now you're on the chase.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're on the chase. You like this. This is what you're going to pursue. Yeah. This is what you're going to do. Did you think you were going to be able to control it at all?
I did.
You really did?
I thought, yep, I've got this. I'm just going to take it when I need it. I'm gonna be honor society. I'm going to graduate honor society, Did
you do any of those things?
No. Mm-hmm. I could have very well. I quit high school when I only had 2 credits left to graduate, And I was still on honor society.
I think that's important to touch on because I think a lot of people think they can control it. And of course, me too. I was one of those people. I never thought that this is something that would get out of my control.
Yeah.
And it most definitely did.
Yeah.
When did the consequences start building up?
Oof. As soon as I decided to start trying other things. I mean, I quit school.
Yeah, that's a consequence.
That's a consequence. I dropped out of cheerleading.
Okay.
That was a consequence. Mm-hmm. That was, like a push from a boyfriend I had at the time or something. Got me to quit varsity cheerleading. And I hadn't been in cheerleading since 7th grade. That was my thing. Mm-hmm. My grades started to drop. That was a consequence. I was barely holding on to that honor society. So, yeah.
Did you really care about your self-image at this point?
No.
No?
Well, kind of, yes, because I've always cared about my self-image, but not to the point that I did.
Gotcha.
It was more about not feeling anything anymore.
Okay. And when did the Vicodins become, like, oxys, and when did the oxys become heroin and things? Did you go up that ladder?
Yes, I did. So when I quit school, I didn't really I moved in with my sister, and I didn't really do too much of the partying and having to take them every day or anything. That started when I was about 24.
Okay.
24, 25. And it was when I had my first child, and I got another prescription of Vicodin.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that warm hug again.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, it never stopped.
It never did stop?
No, that's when it started, like, okay, I'm going to buy them now. I want it all the time. If I don't have them, I'm not going to be able to get up and be superstar mom. And
so now you're full throttle.
Yeah, full throttle. Well, take anything.
Take anything.
Anything.
So how was being a parent while being an addict?
Oh my goodness. It was hard. I mean, you're trying to be the perfect mom, and you're trying to give your child the life that you didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea how to be a mom because I didn't know what family was because I didn't really have a family. So yeah, it was out of control.
Did
It's
you
the
have
only way
any?
I can describe it.
Did you have any consequences there?
Absolutely. So yeah, like so I had 3 children: Ayana, Brian, and Chloe. Ayana is 4 years apart from Brian, and then Chloe is only a year apart from Brian. So
Okay.
there's so DCS became involved.
Okay.
Of course.
How'd that happen?
My daughter started missing days of school.
Okay.
So.
And then they kind of had the school report that
Yep.
they were missing.
Yeah.
And then they come investigate.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
And I would not answer the door to him for a long time.
How did it feel the first time that you realized DCS was knocking on your door?
Oh, terrible. Terrible. I knew that there was nothing I could do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew that, it was done one way or another. Something was going to change,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is why I didn't answer the door for a long time.
Right.
Because I didn't want it to. I didn't want it to. I didn't want no one else to have any control.
You were
over
scared
my
to
life.
death of what's on the other side of that door.
Absolutely.
Not just DCS, but after that.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you love your kids?
Absolutely loved them with all my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it broke my heart because there would be days where I would be sick as a dog, withdrawing. And they'd want it, mommy, play with me, or I do homework or anything like that, and I couldn't do it.
What would you say to anybody that's watching this video right now that might wonder how somebody chooses drugs over their kids but yet loves their kids?
It's a hard thing because you're choosing the drugs so that you can be there for your kids. Mm-hmm. It's weird. It's hard to explain because you physically can't be there for them. You physically cannot be there for them. Your body's going through hell, through withdrawal, and you physically cannot be there for them. The only thing your mind is thinking about is, the next fix, not, going and doing homework with my child.
Right.
And it's really sad. Like, it's so overpowering, that thought of, I need my fix, so then I can help my child with the homework.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's so confusing. It's so hard to explain. It's really hard to explain, but it's overpowering.
So when did your first moments of surrender begin happening? When did this get so bad? What made it get so bad that you really started thinking, you might need to look at different avenues?
Okay, so let's take it back to DCS got involved. So
Sure.
I finally answered the door, and they took my children. They took them.
They did finally take them.
They took them. They took them. Foster care that night. It was terrible. I remember that night. It was awful. I drank that night.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely drank a whole bottle of wine. And it was okay for the first, we fought for him 4 years. For 4 years, off and on for 4 years.
Did you use this entire time for this 4 years?
No, I had times of sobriety during the 4 years. That's why we had that's why we fought for 4 years. Because they saw the ability we had.
Was this sobriety that you had? Was it willpower? Was it chosen? Was there?
No, it was forced. Absolutely
Just
forced.
Forced
By
okay.
DCS. You have to do this to get your children back.
And that's the only reason why you was doing it? Did you have any
Pretty much.
reservations to use once you got him back, or?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So you knew you weren't done yet.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't done yet.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was forced on me. It wasn't my choice.
Gotcha.
It was.
And that's an important.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Absolutely. So, I fought for 4 years, and then one day I'm at work. I'm at work, and I get a PA call over the speakers, Amber, come to the office. So I'm shutting down my cell. I was working at a machining shop at the time, and getting everything ready, and I was shutting down my cell to go to the office, and then one of the female supervisors comes out and says, don't worry about cleaning anything up, shutting it down, just come with me now. That's when I knew something terrible had happened. And this was, 4 years into working with DCS. So I remember going into the office and seeing my mother standing at the end of the office. And I knew that something terrible had happened. And I knew it was my kids.
And how'd you know that? Just the feeling? Just knew?
I just knew. So, I said, what happened? What happened to my children? And that's when she told me that my oldest daughter had been hit by a bus.
Wow.
And my son.
They both were hit.
Both of them, yes. And that's when I know I fainted. As soon as she told me that, and I can remember them picking me up, saying, it's okay, come on, we gotta get you going, we gotta go, you gotta go. Deep breaths, and people carrying me to my mom's car was kind of all a blur. I was in total shock.
I'm sure at this moment you probably thought they had died.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I thought, is she okay? Is she alive? Is she going to live? How bad is it?
I couldn't
my
imagine.
son, I already knew my son wasn't too bad because, I already knew the details of how he had been hit. He literally was the first one to get hit, so he just got hit. The bumper hit his head, and he tucked and rolled, and out the other side he went.
Okay.
And he's just up and going the next day perfectly fine. So I knew he was okay. I didn't know my daughter was okay. The only thing I knew is that Lifeline came to get her.
Okay.
So I hear Lifeline, I'm thinking, oh my God, So, we're driving there, and I can remember stopping at the stoplight right next to entering this housing addition that they were living in with the foster parents. And I see Lifeline taking off with my little girl.
So you seen
right over top of me
the helicopter fly over you with your daughter in it, and you don't know if she's okay or not.
Yes.
Explain to me just how powerless you felt in that moment.
Oh, so powerless. So powerless. I literally tried to rip the door handle off the door to get out. Like, what was I going to do? But I felt like I needed to get to her. I just needed to get to her. So, my mom calmed me down, and I can remember getting to the house where they lived, and my youngest daughter was the only one there because my other two were at the hospital, and she just ran up to me, and cause she had witnessed the whole thing, and she's little bitty, 4-year-old girl, and she runs up to me and just starts crying because she witnessed the whole terrible, terrible thing. So, I just sat there and I held her and cried with her, told her it was going to be okay. It was going to be okay, and, we all rushed, everything rushed. It was all a blur, and we get up to Riley, and it was a fight to get back to see her. DCS was involved, so, the rights of me being a mother, and then the foster parents' rights, what rights do it was just a mess, and, I just adamantly said, no, I'm her mother, I'm going back to see her. So I went back to see her. So I can remember the first time At first, her room was empty because she had went to x-ray. I can remember when they rolled her in and her eyes were open. And she was talking to me, and she was smiling, and she was like nothing happened. It was the biggest relief I've ever felt in my entire life.
What impact did that whole scenario have on you and your life?
A huge impact. Still does have an impact on my life.
I can see that. Mm-hmm.
It's a very emotional situation. So I got to stay the whole time that she was in Riley, which by miracle, literal miracle, because she had a broken femur, two fractures in her pelvis, an 8-inch by 5-inch deep laceration in her groin from where the bus tire pulled her leg from her body, broke the tip off of her elbow from the impact. By a miracle, she left the hospital in 5 days.
That is amazing.
5 days.
Absolutely amazing. She's lucky to be alive.
She's good to go.
Yes.
5 days later.
Was you good to go?
I was not.
Mm-hmm.
I was good while I was there because I was right there by her bedside every second, while she was at Riley. But the minute she got released, reality hit. She's not going home to mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's going home to the foster mom.
And this struck you deep.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely did.
And you dealt with it in the ways that you always deal with it?
Yes. Yep. I relapsed.
You relapsed.
I had clean time. I went to Terror Treatment Center. The accident happened about a month after being released from Terror Treatment Center. I was clean. I was sober. I had tools built up. I thought I was doing great. I didn't have any aftercare set up though, so I had nothing.
Is that where you think you went wrong?
Yeah, I had nothing to turn to and say, okay, I'm struggling.
What advice would you give to somebody that's going to relapse, might relapse, or had relapsed?
Reach out. Reach out to someone. Pick up that phone. There are so many ways to reach out now. You've got internet, you've got Facebook, you've got Columbus, Indiana has a lot of groups, a lot of meetings, a lot of resources available. Just reach out, even if it's just a family. Talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. Talk to somebody. Tell them what you're going through.
And was it worth it?
The relapse, absolutely not.
Right.
It was the nail in the coffin that got me to lose my children.
And you had been to Terror Treatment during this. So you probably learned some things through Terror.
Yeah.
You learned some recovery tools, and I think that stuff stays with you.
Yeah.
So you relapse. You had this terrible incident happen. Your daughter goes back to foster care. Mom goes on to her life, and you realize you can't be there for your daughter.
Yeah.
And then so when do you take your next shot at recovery?
So what I think is important to say first is I was told, I think it was a few months after that relapse, that my rights had been terminated.
Okay.
That I was no longer legally the parent of my child. I was no longer the mother of
And you had no shot at getting them back.
And I had no shot at getting them back. It was done deal.
What happens now?
I spiraled out of control completely.
Because this is really the main reason you was even trying to get sober sometimes.
Yes.
Right? So now your reason's gone.
My reason was gone.
And you showed that.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. I used to die.
It's a strong statement.
Used every single time thinking, please let this be the last shot.
Was you hopeless?
Absolutely.
Was that the straw that got you hopeless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
of it built up. I don't think it was just the one that got me hopeless. Mm-hmm. It was all of it built up to that. You know, it was it stopped my ability to provide my children with a different life than I had.
And that's a hard thing to face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely is.
So now you're in this, you're using the dye, you have no hope.
Yeah.
And this is where I think recovery can get extremely miraculous.
Yeah.
Because I remember being in this kind of state too. Obviously something happened because you're sitting here today and you're not hopeless.
Yeah, no.
What happened?
So I got to, you'd think that losing my children would be my rock bottom, but it was not. My rock bottom was, living out in the middle of nowhere, no longer able to get my dope, no longer able to get my fix, on a regular basis, being sick for a few days, being okay for a few days.
Did you put yourself out there, or did life kind of put you out there?
Life put me out there.
Go ahead.
Okay, so before that, I got mixed up. That is not what led up to it. The first thing that sparked the light is I moved in with my best friend, but she was also my heroin dealer.
Uh-huh. Bet she was your best friend.
She was definitely my best friend.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
So, at the beginning, it was okay. It was all right. She was, it was just her and her boyfriend and the kid. So, it was just, it was just us. It was okay. Then it became a trap house.
Uh-huh.
It was not okay. I watched multiple people overdose. Watched her overdose.
And this is somebody you care about.
That's someone I love.
Okay.
I loved her.
Okay.
Loved her like a sister. We loved each other like a sister. So she overdosed, and I had to take CPR classes in high school. Something inside me was like, okay, I gotta help her. So I gave her CPR for 15 minutes. Literally, for 15 minutes, I pump, 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 breathe. Pump, 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 breathe for 15 minutes. And she came back. She came back too. And the first words out of her mouth was, "Where's my dope?" And when that happened, when that statement was made, I looked down at her and I literally saw myself. Like, literally, visually saw myself laying there on the floor looking up saying, "Where's my dope?" to the person that just saved my life.
So when you were looking at her in that state, and you say you seen yourself, what was you seeing?
Me at my end. Literally, where I was going to be if I did not stop. If I didn't do something and I didn't do something now, I was going to be right there. And what if there wasn't somebody there to save me?
That's amazing.
And it wasn't. It was going to... I say I used to die, but
when you seen
I was terrified.
You didn't want to die.
No.
You realized in that moment you didn't want to die.
No, not at all.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
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 And is that where that little spark of hope came from?
That's where it started. That is exactly where it started.
That gave me chills.
Yep.
That was good.
It literally started right there. And then that, it turned into a trap house, bad situation. Life situations got me out in the middle of nowhere, like I said, being sick and then withdrawing and then being okay, then withdrawing and then being okay. At that point, I became like, okay, I'm done being sick or okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm either going to kill myself, because I was going to. It was, I wanted to die.
Mm-hmm.
When you go into withdrawal, you want to die.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. You feel like you're going to die anyways.
Right.
So you want to put yourself out of your misery, or I want help. So I made a phone call to, Val Vista, made an appointment, and reached out to my sister.
Okay. So you got Valley Vista and you got your sister.
I got my sister. My sister, she had always been we tell each other this all the time. She had I'm gonna cry.
That's good. Go ahead.
She had always been my safe place. That was my safe place. When the abuse happened at 4,
she was your safe place.
She was my safe place. when the abuse was happening as a teenager. She was my safe place. So, I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know if she would turn me away. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know if I would even hear back from her, but I sent her a message. Sent her a Facebook message.
Had you not talked to her in a while at this point?
Hadn't talked to her in a while.
So this was a desperate help.
Yes.
And you're either going to go here or you're going to go to Valley Vista.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I reached out, and within seconds she messaged me back. And she was at where I was staying in a matter of 2 hours, and she lived 2 hours away, which tells me she literally packed up as soon as she got that message and left to come get me. So I left. My husband was there too. I have been with my husband now for 16 years. It'll be 17 soon. It's crazy to think about. He was in the same situation I was, sick, not sick, sick, not sick, using, not using, whatever, But at this point, I was done. I was done. It was no longer we, because it had been that for a long time, and it was always, we want to quit, but that didn't work.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good stuff going on right here. A lot. For one, what you're speaking on right now, I think something we need to elaborate on a little bit, because you were in a 14-year marriage.
Mm-hmm.
People don't walk away from that very easily.
No.
They don't. And like you just said, we are going to do this together, but somehow you gained the courage to understand that you two weren't going to do nothing, that Amber had to do something.
Yeah.
And that something was call your sister and go on your own.
Yeah.
And something else I like here, because every story is so different.
Yeah.
And then yours is getting really different here too, and it's great. Again, the wisdom would tell you the sister was the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Right? The traditional advice.
Yeah.
But for you, it ended up being the absolute right choice.
It did. Yes.
How did your sister spark this 3-year journey for you?
So she picked me up, and I packed what I could, and I left. I had no idea what was going to happen to my husband, Brandon. No clue what was going to happen to him.
At this point, did you care?
I didn't. I cared.
They say recovery's got to be selfish at first, and this is the choice you were truly making.
Absolutely. It was, I'm going.
Okay.
I'm going. I'm going. I'm getting better. You do you. But this is what I'm doing. So I left, and, I went to Val Vista, did my intake appointment.
You did go to Valley Vista too?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I went, and they, put me on a waiting list. I withdrawed terribly at my sister's for a week before they finally said, okay, come on. We've got a bed. Let's go. Okay. I went.
Okay.
I went. When I got out, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go. Had no clue, but my sister was there. She was there. She taught me how to live again. She gave me a place to stay. She let me live there. She didn't have to do that. She had a family of her own. She taught me how to be a person again. Literally, I had no clue what it was like. I was literally stripped naked from Vala Vista, from rehab. Like, there was nothing left of Amber,
When you say stripped naked, what'd they do?
Broke down all the thoughts that I had about, using, and, gave me all these new thoughts, and, but I didn't know how to put them to use.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, I had all this new information, and I felt hope, and I felt great. But I still needed a little bit of guidance, I couldn't do it on my own.
And no, we can't. Nobody can, no.
Absolutely
not. And this is where your sister kind of stepped in and was your mentor.
Absolutely, she was. She taught me how to live. She was like living in a halfway house. She wouldn't let me go anywhere for 30 days. There's a gas station behind our house, and I was not allowed to go get a pop. Literally couldn't even walk behind the house to get a pop by myself. But I'm grateful for that because I could have found a way to text somebody and say, hey, come.
You could have.
I could have. I wasn't strong enough at that point yet, I had great, yes, this is exciting, I'm in recovery, but I still wasn't strong enough.
Did you do any kind of support groups, any kind of step works,
No.
joining churches, anything like that? So
No.
what was so in your own words, what was your recovery? What was different? What was different this time than the prior times?
It was me. I was making the choice to change my life. It was my life now.
Okay.
It was in my hands. It was in my decision. It was my decision. You know what I mean? It wasn't somebody else telling me to do this. I wanted it for myself.
And that was enough.
It was so powerful.
Yes.
It was so powerful. And in that first, 30, 60 to, I'd say my 90-day mark was really pivotal. I had started to find myself. I knew what Amber was.
Was you having what would you call an identity shift? Maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was starting to find out what I liked, what I didn't like, and being by myself let me do that too.
I think that's important to say.
Yeah.
Because you were by yourself.
Yes.
But you weren't recovering by yourself. You had your sister, but you needed this downtime.
Yes.
To start finding who Amber was. And I know in my own story, I had that downtime too.
Yeah.
And my downtime lasted 3 years.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of work in those 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you put a lot of work into your life.
Yes.
What were some of the passions? What were some of the things you found out about Amber in recovery that you liked?
So my sister is really big into makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out that I really liked it too. And I've always loved makeup anyways. So makeup became it brought out my creative side again because I've always loved being artistic and creative and all those things, but it also became a coping skill. I would, when I wasn't able to do nothing for 30 days, I would sit and I would watch makeup tutorials and I would do it. That's my creativeness. I can mimic. If I see something done, I can do it.
Okay.
I watch it done once or twice, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. So I would sit and watch makeup tutorials and I loved doing makeup. It became a huge passion of mine and a coping skill because it quieted everything down.
And your creative side.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think for recovery to really stick, you got to bring that creative side out. You got to find something that makes you alive.
Yes.
It's amazing to me that something as small as makeup saved a life.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
That's a huge reason why you're sitting here today.
It is. It's huge.
Once an addict, always an addict. Do you believe that? Do you buy into that?
No. You can't put a label on that. You really can't. Yeah, we were an addict at one point, but that's not what we are anymore. We're not an addict. We're in recovery. We are who we are now. So once an addict, always an addict. Yes, we're going to have to keep applying the tools that we've learned every single day. But does that make us an addict? Hell no. That makes us a person in recovery that's continuing to progress our life. I've always been a believer in people that are in recovery are the strongest people that you'll ever meet. And we are lucky that we are in recovery.
Absolutely blessed to be in recovery.
Absolutely blessed.
Not just because it saved my life.
Yes.
But just because it's recovery.
Yes.
What a gift.
Yes, it is. And we can give it to so many other people.
And speaking of this gift, at the beginning of this, I asked you to define addiction. How would you define recovery?
It's a blessing Recovery is continuing to progress every single day. Recovery is finding yourself more and more every single day. Growing, constantly growing and evolving, which I find amazing. I love that feeling of constantly growing and evolving.
It's limitless.
It's limitless. It's so limitless, and we can help so many people. You can't be in recovery without giving it to somebody else.
Now they say you gotta give away what you selfishly gave yourself.
Yes,
because it's a selfish thing in the beginning, like you said. Will Amber Barnes ever use again?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I can, without a doubt, sit here and say that today because I know where it will take me. I know where it will take me. I have the tools in place now that if I see myself going down a certain path, I'm going to stop it because it's going to take me to the worst place, and I will never stop. I will never stop if I start using again. And I don't want to chance that. I'm not going to chance that. Not only that, my children, maybe I don't see them now, but they're going to be 18 one day. They may or they may not. It's okay. Either way, I've worked through both. If they come find me, do I want to let them down again?
No.
Do I want to be that same person that, destroyed their life? Because I'm sure I couldn't imagine what it's done to them. They're doing great now, but I don't want to be that same person. I want to be someone they're proud of.
Yes.
I want to be someone they're proud of.
And I would be shocked if they weren't.
Yeah.
Like listening to you now, and there is absolutely no greater gift that you could give your kids in the shoes that you're in than the life you're living today.
Yeah.
And then the way that how you passionately spoke about creation, evolving, growing, to me rings so true to what recovery actually is. Yeah. And you are doing it. I think you're doing great. This was awesome. Is there anything else that we missed? Anything you want to add?
My husband's in recovery.
That's a good one.
Yes, yeah. So he entered recovery about 100 days after me.
Okay.
This doesn't happen very often.
No, it's rare.
It's very rare. And if it
they
does
would tell
happen,
you to bet against that too.
Yeah.
How is a recovered relationship compared to an addiction relationship?
Oh my goodness, the differences are insane. Like, just today we had a part where, a moment that would have never happened if we were in addiction. I was having a moment. It's Christmas time. I do not have my children. It gets hard. It gets real hard sometimes, And he said, talk to me. He never would have done that before. He literally came up to me, said, talk to me. I talked to him, told him what's going on. I started crying. He comes up and gives me a hug. That's us in recovery. We are there for each other. He's building me up. He's my warm hug now.
That's right.
He is my warm hug. He's my person now. And I always knew he was my person. And I'm so glad that it worked out. I'm so glad he found recovery. I want to hear his side. Because I would love to hear what led him into recovery.
I have a feeling I know.
I think that he saw what I had. He wanted it too, and he was afraid of losing me. So he's in recovery and he's doing great. And our relationship is amazing. We talk. We have a relationship. We build each other up. We support each other's goals. We congratulate each other when someone has done something that is worth congratulating. It's amazing. It's amazing.
What impact do you hope that your story and interview today has on our viewers?
I really hope that it gives people hope. I really hope it gives people hope. There's a lot of people out there, women, men, going through the same situation that I've been through, losing your children or fighting for your children. Don't give up. Don't give up that fight. If you're going through that fight, don't give up that fight. Don't use again, because it's not worth it. It's not worth losing your children. If you do lose your children, or you are going through the process of losing your children, it's okay. It's going to be okay. I promise you, it's going to be okay. I'm crying right now, but it's happy tears. It's going to be okay. I'm okay. I have life. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a life without them. It's okay. I will see them again one day.
That's acceptance.
At first, it was hard, you know. It was like a part of my soul was gone, you know, and that's really, really hard because I birthed these children. But it's okay now.
Well,
because I have myself. I have life, you know.
Well, I want to thank you for doing this tonight with me and with us to get your
problem.
story out there.
No problem.
A lot of good stuff that you just said.
Yeah.
You know, I hope as you guys were watching this and you understand that this right here, this is an absolute warrior of recovery. She's killing it. She's doing great. You're independent now. You have your own job. She's got her marriage back. A lot of good things that recovery's doing for her. So don't think it ain't possible. I mean, at 4 years old, she started experiencing abuse. Yes. By the age of 8 or 10, you met a new man, or no, your mom got a new man.
Yes.
But he groomed you.
Yes.
Yes. Gained your trust and sexually abused her. If she can overcome things like that, and losing her kids, and finding hope, what a powerful moment. And realizing she didn't want to die, you can too. And remember that shame can only thrive in secrecy. And the moment you speak aloud upon it, it will lose its power.
Absolutely.
Thank you.